Mary and Mike have set the stage, and I'm going to take it a little bit more tactical and more detailed and talk about where we are with the IDW. One of my pet peeves is I always like to talk about what's happening on the current platform, so bear with me. I want to shine some light and give some kudos to a lot of great developments that are happening on the current platform. And then I'm going to switch gears and describe to you in detail some of the key features that are coming out of the development effort for the next-gen platform. So I'm going to do a David Letterman-like thing and just work through 10 different aspects of the next-gen and give you a real taste for what it looks like, how it's going to work, some of the benefits that will accrue to our manufacturer and distributor partners using the next-gen platform. Then I'm going to reveal the schedule for the coming year, when you can expect which release, and how you can get more involved. So let's talk about the current platform. We know that the process is for the transition is going to take about a couple years, so we need to keep investing in the current platform. I wanted to highlight that this year we've had 4 different releases, packages of releases that have been released to customers. In March of this year, we started with our field level data quality. I'll talk more about that. To me, that's one of the most important enhancements we've had in a while. It really provides a full picture of the data quality that's being consumed by our distributor customers, that's being input by our manufacturer partners. The 2017 standards release happened in April. In May, a really interesting enhancement came along. I'll talk about that, having to do with a custom mapper tool that we developed and implemented, and just recently, just another enhancement to keep the platform vital, ongoing, to serve the needs of the customers while we get the next platform in place. The custom attribute mapper is an interesting one for me because it came as a challenge from Mike Wentz and a customer. And 2 of our folks, Josh and Sherry, sat down and brainstormed an answer. And we were able to quickly turn it into something that could be done as a release. Essentially, the challenge is how do you deal how do you try to flatten and create a condensed, simplified view of the classification marketing descriptor, CMD, attributes. And some of the, one of our customers wanted a distilled, focused, smaller view. And we sat down, we understood that challenge, and thanks to Josh and Sherry, we developed a concept that was implemented. And to me, it's a great use of the current platform as a test bed. If this idea has real value, we'll port it over to the next platform. And if we need to do changes, we'll do that as well. And if it doesn't, I'm happy that at least we tried it. And back to that innovation example, it's good to fail quickly. Just put it out there, try it, and see what happens. So the current platform, to me, it's been very productive in that light. As I said earlier, one of the most important things that happened this year on the current generation platform is the field level data quality metrics that we've now provided to our customers. They're a little abstruse, so it's hard to describe exactly what they are. So I'm going to take a shot at it with this slide. And essentially, programmatic excellence at the item level for a SKU is counted or calculated by our system if all 43 critical fields pass the tests. So if any of them don't pass the tests, then you fail for that item. If all of them pass, you succeed. That's a very challenging benchmark. It's an important one, and we'll continue to provide it to our customers. But it's hard to tell progress. If you went from 20 of these critical attributes to 25 to 30 to 40, you're still a fail. So how do you better deliver information on the complete picture of quality? So you do that at the field level. Rather than talking about one item, you talk about the 43 fields individually. And that's the field level metric that we're talking about. In the example I have up here, I have just 10 SKUs, 10 items. In the example, one of them has all 43 correct, so that's really at 10% at the item level. But when I did the calculations on the right-hand side, a lot of them had many of the individual fields. It's really 91% at the field level. That's the same data, just looking at it both ways. You need to look at it both ways and to see the completeness of the quality that's in the system. And talking about that quality, We have had great success. I want to shed light on and give credit to the manufacturers and to the client services team that have worked hard with the manufacturers to show progress over the last few years. So this is the data quality metrics that across the IDW since the advent of the program in 2015. You can see in the blue is the item level. So we started at 0 when we started the program. We're now up to 30%. In the orange, you see the field level, and that's now up to 91%. So what does that really mean? In my mind, I think about the IDW. There's 2.5 million SKUs in it, of which about 1.8 million are eligible for the data quality program. If you were to multiply that by 43 to see how many actual points of data we're talking about, it's somewhere around 77 million. And about 70 million of them, of those 77 million, are now passing programmatic excellence. That's a great achievement thanks to the manufacturers and the client services team and the platform that we are continually working with data quality. It's an ongoing process that'll never end. But that process is going, and we are showing some great success along the way. You heard in Mike's slides that data quality is, key to this, how we address the shift in the industry. And speaking of shifts, I'd like now to shift to the next generation. We don't have to show that. This is a 2017 Gartner slide. I think Katrina's work already showed how highly rated and what a world-class technology Stibo systems are. So I won't belabor that point. But since last year, we are partners with Stibo and have been working very closely and plan on using the Stibo platform as the basis for how we continually adjust and adapt and address the shift that's happening in the industry in a dynamic way, and having a process that delivers solutions to our customers in a rapid way. This cartoon of sorts is how we are is an easy way to visualize that our solution is a composite of a number of technologies, because the needs that IDEA's needs and our customers' needs are quite complex. Starting at high noon and working in a clockwise fashion, we are delivering 3 different user interfaces for the administrators, the people on Sherry's client services team, for the distributors, for the manufacturers. I love that because one of the current challenges we have with our current system is that one interface, and it sort of does both things okay, but being able to tailor and focus an interface can just improve that user's experience. This circles around the STEP engine and the STEP platform, and we have added additional database and additional capability because our specific extraction needs are pretty substantial. So we added that component. It's called Mongo, but we'll have multiple environments. We are actually in the process right now of creating a separate and an additional layer of an extraction and mapping tool. So that's the current challenge we're all working through at the moment. On top of the STEP system, we will be integrating with all sorts of systems that support the IDEA team, whether it's our ERP system, our image server, or where the data currently resides on the current IDW platform. The key part here for me is that the tailored user interfaces will really help us improve the usability and provide a better experience for manufacturers and separately distributors. So let's take a look now at the benefits. And what I've done is taken screenshots. I'll describe the 10 areas I wanted to describe for you to give you a taste of what the next-gen IDW, what benefits it will provide to you. The 10 areas I focused on are easier loading, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4 for the manufacturer would be easier loading, would be the ability to manage errors through the validation workflows that we're building for you. It would be the great versioning capability, the ability to handle the international data that Mary and Mike alluded to. Authorization, we'll still have the same authorization model that is important in our industry. Extraction and mapping are 6 and 7. And then just finish up with help search and data quality, which I think is going to be a great area, as you saw from Katrina's video of the next user interface. So we have been at this about a year, and right now we're on version 8.0. So the slides I'm going to show are actually one generation behind the user interface that you saw. We're scheduled to move up to the 8.2 interface that you saw later this summer, earlier in the autumn. So maybe this is a bit of a retro tour of the system. So let's start with the first and one of the key benefits: easier loading. So for our purposes, our manufacturers right now have a somewhat challenged loading process because if there are errors, you have to reload the data. If there are hard errors that will toss that data out. So in the new system, we're taking advantage of a capability in Stibo where there's a maintenance and an approved space. And the maintenance space, we are making it simpler for manufacturers to load that data so that once it's on the platform, you can take benefit of a lot of the cool features within Stibo to help you identify and correct those errors. For example, for the first time, you'll be able to edit data online if that's something you'd want to do. If it's a smaller set of data records, that's certainly going to be a possibility. But having that easier to load maintenance space, we think is a great start for our platform. Additionally, we're working very hard to inform the decision. The manufacturer has to decide, when do I approve the data for maintenance, put it in the approved space, which means that distributors can then download it and see it. And one thing we're working very hard on is to provide the data quality metrics for that information for your loaded data before you approve it. That way, the decision that you're making about, I want to move this data to where distributors can extract it, is informed with the impact that update that you're providing will have on the data. So this is what the interface that we're working on right now looks like. Let me take a second and make sure that I explain it. The left-hand side is a navigation pane where you can access the functionality. The right-hand side is pretty much what you saw in the latest version, which is squares that are called widgets that access that functionality. Validation workflows are routines that just review the data and hold it in a state until, if there's any errors, if the validation routine identifies anything that's an anomaly, it will hold it for you and identify it. And right now, we are working on providing our customers with 5 of these workflows for package, price, asset, product, and net price. So as the data flows in, if there are any issues that are identified, it will be held in these states. And you can have one or several people. You can assign different people to check in with the system and go to that space, figure out what's wrong, and if they can edit online if needed or reload the data if that's the easier solution. Another whiz thing that I love about Stibo is that every attribute, every version of every attribute is recorded in the system. So any attribute you're interested in, you can see what the prior value was, when that was edited. I think that's going to be a great capability for customers to see exactly what's happened with the data, how it's changed over time. And I think we'll be leveraging that in a number of ways in the future. Mary mentioned the ETIM. So the benefit of the Stibo platform is we do have an ETIM classification already started. We think that's once the programmatic work and the policy work is done on having an ETIM classification appropriate for North America, we believe this will greatly accelerate our users' ability to adopt and use multiple classification systems. So if you want to use ETIM in addition to UNSPSC, that's going to be possible throughout our platform. Another cool concept that we are putting our stock in is the context, the ability to manage and see and filter on different sets of data. A context is a term that means a combination of marketplace and language, or country and language. So English, US, French, Canada, Spanish, Mexico. And any of the data elements that are dependent on that location are then filtered for. It makes your life and your distributor's life a lot easier if you're looking for data in a specific, if our Canadian partners want to see their data just in that context, it's a great feature. Switching over to authorization, we want to make authorization easier. So managing for manufacturers authorization through groups is going to be one tactic and technique that we'll be using, so that the addition of a new authorized distributor would be added into a group, and if that group is appropriate, then the manufacturer's work is a lot simpler. We'll still have both push and pull type authorization, meaning that manufacturers can still pre-authorize distributors for their data and the price, different price, or it can be pull, meaning that the distributors would need to ask for that authorization. This one is the one that's we're working on right now. I don't have a screenshot. I just wanted to highlight and make sure that this is exactly where we are. We are still working through the wireframes and finalizing the specs, but later this summer we'll have this ready for testing. So what's different about this tool is that for the first time we'll have both mapping and extraction online, and we're hoping to integrate them to a great extent and make them as visual as we can to a great extent to make that process a little bit more self-service for our customers. Search is going to improve the experience as well. Right now, search is pretty limited in the current platform. We want to expand that, give the opportunity to search on multiple dimensions at the same time, and expand the different areas that can be searched to include not just product, but include price and other aspects as needed. And from our current, we have these in our dev and test environment. So from our test environment right now, we have also help. We are working, it's still a shell, but we are very focused and take great pride in the end user materials that we provide our customers. So we've invested in our team, have the people who will do the end user material part of the development team, and expect a series, you can expect the full list of videos, fact sheets, whatever is needed to help you get on board and get oriented to the new system. Data quality, that is the key, as you saw in Mike's earlier slides. So to improve with data quality on the distributor side, we want to be able to compile data quality metrics for you at the point of where you're using the data. Right now, we offer to you compilations of data quality at the manufacturer level, but we want to focus that a little bit more so that if you want to have a list or a subset of SKUs that relate to your e-com store or your ERP, we'd like to compile, and we'll have the ability to compile the data quality score just for that subset for you. So it's the data quality at the point of when you're using it rather than just at the manufacturer level. Another way to help inform the decision making about what quality am I getting to put into my e-com store or into my ERP. With that information in place, we also think then we can give more visibility to our manufacturers to see what data are being pulled and used by our distributors. So with that process, we want to also provide the data quality metrics to the manufacturer based on how it's being used by the distributors. So the manufacturer can see that, oh, of my data, my authorized distributors are using, here's the data quality that they're seeing at their point of use. We want to make data quality a way to inform that decision-making process, both on the manufacturer and distributor side. And that's in addition to helping manufacturers when they make the decision of approval, again, telling them what the impact on data quality would be at that point. Here I have just a Gantt chart, 4 different release points. Our approach is to allow the distributors to be released first. So we are focused in the first phase on distributors. And our approach is the release 1.0 would be to provide a product for distributors for a select set of pilot members who would then help us do that final shakedown. End of this year is when that development would end. The pilot would be the first part of next year. And based on the results of that, we would then have the distributor rollout. Once we're completed with the distributors getting onto the new system, we would then have finished the work to development on the manufacturer side, again do another pilot in July, and then once that's concluded and all the comments addressed, do the rollout for the manufacturer. So we're talking about another year with the, January being for our distributors and July for our manufacturers. Which is a good point to talk about the details. How do you get involved, John? So come back at 4:15. At 4:15, we're going to have Josh and Brenda. Josh, our director of IT. Brenda, our product owner. Sherry, our director of the content product platform. Melissa, our project manager, is here. We'll all be here and available for an hour to just work through all the different questions and talk about the details. So we'd love to see you at 4:15 in this room. And then think about joining the user group if you're not. The user group schedule, Melissa figured out to match it to the development cycle. So after we finish a development period, we work in increments, and when a development cycle is done, and it's every certain number of weeks, we share that with the user group. So you get to see what came out the other side. You get a sense of the progress. You get an ability to interact and make comments on things before they're fully baked. So if you aren't a member of the user group, please join. Think about that. Learn more about the demos, about our progress, and if you want to join in the pilots. So that would be the place to do that.